Roomies, we are back for another episode of In the Room. And we're in the room.
In the room.
Yes.
I love it. This episode, we're talking about...
Amazing.
Chance.
Come on now.
Chance the rapper, Chicago in the hand.
I know
Yes.
Brenda gonna be her most Chicago
Listen.
self.
You better bring it. Okay. You better.
I feel a little Chicago-y, you know, because
your brother lived
my
there.
brother lives in Chicago.
You not, and y'all be eating the wrong
So
pizza.
I'm repping. No, first of all, okay, Chicago is known for their pizzas, right?
And Giordano's,
And-
Home Run In, Illuminati's.
Really?
Illuminati's pizza?
Illuminati's. I'm probably not saying it
Illuminati.
right.
And you from Chicago?
It's okay. It's
We
all right.
need-
I'm not Italian.
No, but there was this pizza spot called Paradise Park. Now,
And
any
no-
roomie watching,
And they don't know
if
what
you
that
have
is.
been to Paradise Park in Chicago, let the people know.
Help
It
her.
is literally one of
Tell
the
her we
best
don't-
pizzas
we eat
Really?
at
I've
chain
ever
That's my
had.
favorite food. So it's like,
Oh,
where,
we
It's
need to
not
go
a
to
chain
Chicago.
restaurant. It's like someone owns that.
Exactly. That's what I'm
Really?
saying. We only eat at chains.
Oh, but
Or in the hood, and it ain't in neither. It's not neither one of those.
it's good. Good food is good food. That
We'll
is
be the
word
judge of
to my
that.
mama.
listen, now we're talking about.
Oh no, but Chance.
Let's talk about Chance the Rapper.
Yes, Chance. I love this episode. I feel like holds a special place in my heart because I feel like we prayed this episode into existence.
That's real.
Like literally, like everybody on our list we got, but like Chance was like we gonna kill it if we have an episode with Chance. Like we
Yes.
were praying consistently.
Have to have him.
And then it's one of those like God is in control moments, and it just happened. Like we weren't even
Yeah.
trying in that moment, and it happened. And I'm like, yo, no, literally, like I remember posting on Instagram, like, no, we prayed for this.
Yeah.
And I think that's like one of the most amazing things when like you can see a prayer and like answered.
And answered in such a beautiful way.
Beautiful
Because
way.
even for him to say like this is the best
Best
interview
interview?
I've ever done,
I was like, what?
it was
Say that
just
again.
yeah.
You got the cameras
You
rolling.
got the cameras rolling?
That's what he just said.
Here at the same room, best interview I ever had.
Yes.
No, that was
No.
just so
And he
epic.
didn't want
Like
it to
it was
end.
such a God. No one wanted it to
Yeah.
He
end.
did not want it to
It was a
end.
God
Man, it was
moment.
such a God moment. Like it was just again, God's timing is the best.
Yep,
and,
always.
And I think even for us praying into that, it was really because we knew that there was something God wanted to do with Chance on the same room.
Yes.
And so we were praying into that, what we knew was in alignment with what was the will of God, you know? So, I mean,
No,
yeah.
love
now,
that. It's definitely one of my.
We've taken him on as a brother.
Absolutely.
Yes,
He is-
Family.
Absolutely.
Yes, he's family.
Caitlin, what was some of your
My favorite.
top moments there?
Oh man, I think just knowing that he was so down to earth. Like you could just go up to him and talk to him. He would literally just come up to you and be like, "Hey, so what's your name? Like, how's it going? Like, this is dope. Like, y'all rented this place?" And I'm like, "No, it's Angie's house." Like, he's like, "Word." Like, he just liked it, and
Yeah.
he was just so nice. Like, just genuine love.
Yeah.
So that was awesome.
No,
He's a
it was
part of the
mad cool.
family.
He is a part of the
Literally.
family.
Chicago people are like that, you know?
So let's talk about some of the gems.
Yes.
That Chance
They
dropped,
definitely were
right.
dropped.
I mean, like it was so much that was covered, from marriage to the peace of God to spiritual warfare. I mean, we really talked about it all, and I think some of the key things. One of the key things I want us to even just hit on is the spiritual warfare piece. And let's check out this clip.
Our enemy is not of the flesh. Our enemy is spiritual wickedness and evil in high places, right? So we, like I said earlier, we're influenced. Like I don't think of the devil as like this big giant dude with horns. It's like no, it's like a really little impish thing that can just speak envy into you, or speak jealousy into you, or speak hatred, or speak fear, or speak whatever into you, and then you have to exact that. And at the same time, I think we're blessed enough to have angels in our life. We're blessed with the cheat code. We got the manual. At the end of the day, if you ever really want to look up what it is, but I think like I have to remind myself in times like, no, this person doesn't hate me. They don't even hate what I did or what I said. They're just what I'm doing, what I'm talking about, what I believe in at this moment is counterintuitive to what the enemy wants. And so he's going to use whoever he can, however he can, to not allow that to happen.
that was such a good clip.
So good.
Really
Because even the way he broke down spiritual warfare is just so in alignment with the word of God, right? Because even the scripture tells us that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against spiritual wickedness, you know, wickedness in
high places.
In high places, you know, principalities and powers. So all these things, right? And what I love about the way he kind of phrased, just even in bringing that up into that discussion, is to know that sometimes what you think is a person working against you, or your problem is an individual, or your problem is, you know, this person is trying to get you fired, or this person is trying to get you mad, or this person is, you know, is trying to like run you, like, I don't know, like undermine you or whatever. It might not even be the person. And it might be the spirit that is influencing them, right? Because it gives you such a different perspective. Like, in a recent episode we did when we talked about April Daniels, right? We talked about forgiveness, but this even takes it further with us, because it shows you that sometimes the person you might even be holding a grudge against, they are just a pawn. Unaware. You know, because even when we think about scripture, right? We have that moment where Peter came to Jesus, and Jesus is, you know, having a conversation and telling them about, you know, what he must do. And Peter rebukes him, and he's like, no, you're not going to do that. But then Jesus said, get away from me, get behind me, Satan. But he's talking to Peter, but he was talking to the spirit that was influencing that moment. And so there are many times that what you think you're dealing with someone, because even for the Bible to say we wrestle not against flesh and blood, is to tell you that it comes through. A lot of times it comes through flesh and blood, but to not forget that even though it's coming through a person, the agenda behind it is connected to the demonic one, right? So let's talk about that.
I love that. I love that you said like job, because I feel like it happens a lot on jobs. Like, and I feel like recognizing that the enemy comes to uproot you. And it's really more about whatever situation you're in, who you'll become on the other side of it is what he's really fighting against. So his mind is like, how can I throw all of the things? And like, just like, you know, when you hang around your friend and they know what ticks you off, the same way with the enemy. He knows what it takes to get you to walk away from something. And so I have come to learn, because I am always that person like, all right, bye. Bye to this. I gotta deal with this.
This ain't worth it.
It's not, I'm not here for it. And then I have learned and grown and matured into a space where I go, okay, like, what is this really about? And I think it pushes me into a place to go, okay, like, God, what do you want to do here? Like, what is it what is the assignment? Because if this much is happening, then something about to really big is like gonna come out of this. And I love that it's like, it helps us forgive, but it also helps us see things properly, because then it's from a place of like, this that's happening isn't even about me. It's about the plan and purpose of what God wants to do. I remember when I first moved to where I am now, my first weekend there, like starting a service, the lights went out at the start of the service. Like the machine, like literally broke down at the start of service. We had been there for 3 hours prior to that. Everything was working fine. The moment the worship leader steps up to the platform, the lights went out for 2 minutes. Then the microphones were like, you know, in our minds, and then naturally we'd be like, the production team is really out of control this week.
And
what are y'all doing?
Them.
And then I'm like, this is, Satan is angry about whatever is about to take place here. And it gives you this perseverance, and it gives you this fight to stick around. It gives you this fight to love a person, because also it could be, what does this person need from me that the enemy is fighting us? When you just can't get along with a person and you can't even figure out why, there's something that's great that's going to come out of that relationship. And I feel like to see it as like, it's not flesh and blood, it's a spirit that's working through them. So now I have to go to God and say, okay, how do I handle this so that it gets the outcome that you intended for this moment, this job, this person, this relationship?
And I love what you said, because there are times where there are people you can't choose to just remove them out your life. Right? You're gonna see them every day at work, or you're gonna see them on set.
When it's your mama and your daddy and your sister and your brother.
If it's family, you know, even if you only go back home once a year, you still gotta see them. So there's some people that it feels like, because if it's a stranger, right? If someone, like, you're driving, somebody has road rage, you could just keep driving and keep it pushing. But there are times where there are people that God actually allows in your life. Because when we talk about Jesus and Peter Peter was one of his key disciples, right?
Judas,
you know, but that didn't change their position. What happened is that it revealed, like, okay, Jesus has discernment in this moment to know what is going on. And I think that for us in life, as we grow and as we live, you know, one of the key areas we have to grow in is discernment, because it will help us to navigate life with less stress. Because when you can look at a situation and say, it's not even you, right? I have to show up and work with you every day. When I'm no longer fighting you, and I start praying against whatever is trying to use you against what God is building, it shifts everything, because now you're not my enemy, right? I'm not, because if we're supposed to be working together, or we're supposed to be family, we're supposed to be doing a project together, or we're doing this film together, whatever the case is, if there is division amongst us,
we are
everything has already broken up. I mean, that we've already lost before we started,
Right.
you know? So I think it's so key that when there are people that you cannot just choose to like remove from your life, to actually take a step back and ask the Lord, what is really going on here, and how can you help me navigate this situation better? Because sometimes they might actually even need a word from you. They might
That's
need
the
you
one
to
right
help,
there.
like give them like a godly check. Like what you just did is so out of character.
Right.
Because when Jesus did that, he didn't just say, call him Satan and leave it there. He said, because at first he says, get behind me, Satan. Then he starts talking to Peter, and he says, your mind is focused on worldly things. So he's telling Peter, this is how the enemy got access to you. You're concerned about things that don't even matter, and that's why you're limited in your thinking. And he could use that. So I believe that even for us, like if there are people, to not be afraid of confrontation, to not be afraid of having hard conversations with people, and to say like, hey, what you're doing is actually out of character right now, or what you're doing, you know, can we talk about this? Can whatever, like be a peacemaker, you know, wherever you go, strive to be a peacemaker. Don't just allow things to come at you, but strive to respond and say, how do we fix this right here?
Right.
And I think it also highlights who you are.
Yeah.
The level of intensity or the level of warfare that you're experiencing highlights who you are and how God sees you. Because if he's allowing it to happen, it's like also building you. And it could be building your ability to show up in the middle of things that are uncomfortable and like annoying and frustrating. And I feel like, dang, if you would go through these lengths to stop this, then like, man, like what God is entrusting to me is so much bigger than this. And I like, that's something I always say, like, it's bigger than me in the sense of like, it's bigger than how I feel. It's bigger. Cause that's something I struggle with, is like frustration. And like when I'm frustrated, I can't, it's like, I can't do it.
That's
like,
facts.
I can't do it. I'm a creative. I need an environment that fosters that. But the reality is environments are not going to always be great. And I have to learn how to keep my focus and not be deterred by frustration and go like, all right, God, I'm laying my frustration at your feet. And like, how do I navigate? I love that you said that, because it may not change. Like it may not change. It may remain the same until God releases you from that moment. But God, teach me how to navigate this. Like, teach me how to show up the way that you want me to show up, and not how my flesh wants to respond or react to this.
That's the one right there. Because for me, I used to be like super, super passive. I would not speak up. Even if it came to like defending myself, I'll just be like, you know what, whatever. Like, I'm gonna just go about my day. You guys can think this or whatever it might be. But I remember I was going through such a, like, it lasted like a couple of months. And I was like, God, like, it was at my workspace. And I'm like, God, something's going on, because this team just all of a sudden just wants to go crazy and like be out of character. And I had to pray to God, like, God, how do I maneuver through this? And he's like, you have to use your voice. And I didn't like using my voice. And he was like, I need you to speak up. I need you to call people out. I need you to get some grit under you. Like, I need you to become the woman that I have called you to be. I need you to be the light in this situation. They actually need a word from you. This person over here, she clocks in at 4:45 a.m., but she's actually leaving her baby at home. And she is frustrated and she needs help. I need you to give her a word. And it was just so much that was going on. And I was just like, okay, use me in this situation. But God, like, dang, like, I'm frustrated. Like, my team is not working with me. They're not producing their best work that I know they can give me.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, just like pray through it and just start becoming.
Yeah.
And I think what I've learned in that situation is that when you respond in love, in spite of, it disarms the spirit.
People don't know what to do with that.
I mean, I've seen the
They're like,
nastiest
people
person
don't know.
second guess everything they just did prior to that moment. When I'm like, and even if it turns to like, you good?
Yeah.
You know, like everything
people
okay?
do not know
Right.
what,
They don't know what to do with that.
You responding in love. When
I promise
when
you.
they're working, when it's almost like,
It
wait,
disarms it because it's like,
that's facts.
what just, and that is it's so funny because it's a prayer thing.
Yeah.
Because I literally like
literally
my
is.
prayer, like I'm always like, Lord, let my response always be a reflection of you.
Yeah.
Because me in this moment is not a reflection of you.
It ain't
It's not
gonna
at all.
be,
It's just
no.
gonna get them together real quick, and they'll second guess, but it won't be the way that you want them to. And so it is like all right, Lord, like. And it is sometimes you got to count to 10 and then you got to go like, is everything okay?
Yeah.
Even if you got to, can I pray for you? You know, and not from like, not being like, not trying to be like, you know,
you need prayer.
yeah,
No.
but like genuinely and authentically, because also like we talked about in the past episode, like this ain't you. This not who you are.
I'm gonna hold you.
Right.
I'm gonna hold you
accountable
accountable
to
to who you are.
Yeah.
And so something has you being this way. Like, what is it? We need to talk. We need to just sit here.
And that is what honest conversations, because even like what we're talking about is even like learning how to navigate difficult people or difficult moments, right? And honesty is so powerful, because just to say like, hey, I've been noticing like you've not been acting like yourself lately. You know, I noticed how you spoke to this person and that's just not you. Or what you said was not right. Like that, it was dishonorable.
Yes.
Because what happens a lot in life, you know, especially with like everyone has an opinion about everything, right? It's normal. We're people, we think, right? But then if your opinions are hidden and they could actually be constructive to a person, then they never change. And all we do is that we complain more in the background. Right. And so there's a place just like what you said, when God said, hey, go meet that woman, right? Talk to her. She's going through a lot, right? It's a beautiful thing that sometimes what unlocks or what breaks that
Brings
difficulty
healing.
is
Bringing
really
someone
your
to talk to.
voice.
Yes.
Is speak about it.
Speak
Say
about
something,
it.
whether you're speaking to God in prayer or you're speaking to them in person, you know, or on the phone, like, hey, I just want to check in on you. Are you good? What's going on? And sometimes, even as difficult as this could be, because especially even in the beginning, Brenda, you mentioned something so key, that a lot of times this happens in work environments, right? Work environments, or even anything project based.
Anything that there should be unity.
Yeah, anything where
That's
people
it.
come together,
Yeah.
there is always going to be some type of conflict.
Yeah.
You know, and so you have to be more focused on the vision of execution.
The goal.
We have a goal here
Let's
in mind,
meet it.
and we're after that goal. And anything that disrupts that, we're not going to rest in frustration. We're not going to rest in anger. We're going to navigate this, and we're going to get to a solution. Whether I'm going to pray for myself to see this better, or I'm going to pray for you because I recognize that something is not right. Or I need to talk to you.
Yeah.
And anytime we need to actually talk to someone, just do it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Just do it.
No, and I love that, because the reality is everybody is not as self-aware as we think.
Yes.
And so what is causing you hurt, pain?
They have no clue.
They don't even understand that they're doing it. They don't recognize that it's coming across that way. I've been in so many situations, and I'll say, hey, when you said this, it made me feel this way. And they're like, oh my
didn't
God,
mean that.
I would never do that. And
Right.
so I do agree that there's always freedom in a conversation. Like
Yes.
I'm always like, let's talk about it. It could be uncomfortable. It could hurt. It's probably not what we want to do in this moment, but I am a firm believer of a lack of communication leaves a gap for the enemy to
Yes.
fill the space
That's
with
it.
false narratives, and you living and you angry and you mad about something that person doesn't even
know.
know they
Right.
did.
I would even go another push and say, before you even pray, pray.
Yeah.
Talk to
Have
the
a
person.
conversation, 'cause it probably
Because it can
wasn't
be
even
solved like
in a
that.
second, because even the Bible talks about how if you are holding a grudge against your brother, and your brother is anybody, your neighbor, your worker, it's just the language of
Take
the
it to
time.
them.
Right.
It said before you drop an offering before God, go back and reconcile.
Yeah.
And reconciliation does not happen without conversation.
Nope,
No.
it doesn't.
And so even biblically, it's like before you come, because what we can do in religiousness
Is
is
it?
saying,
I prayed about
I'm
it.
gonna pray for
I'ma
this
pray for them
person.
person.
They just
No,
nasty.
that's real.
You know?
And
And then you over there and pray
Yeah.
like, Lord, this person, like,
Yeah.
fix it, Jesus,
Yeah.
because they are frustrating
And
me. They have no clue, and they could actually be more innocent than you think.
Yes, because
That's
and the
it.
other thing is that we also bring everybody comes to a space with their own experiences. And that person could have said something that you're seeing through your last experience that you didn't deal with.
Trigger.
And it triggered you. And now you're like, oh, this person is this and this. And they're probably
Right.
like, hey, I didn't even say that. They said
Yeah.
one word that sounded like something you heard in the past. And so I think that does bring balance to it. Because even if it
Yeah.
is spiritual warfare, the warfare could not always be on the person. It could also be in the moment
In the thought.
created
Yeah.
that happened out of that moment. And so I love and sometimes we do need to pray on our way to talk to them so that we have the proper words in addressing.
Pray for
Yeah, we
ourselves.
need to pray for
Yes,
ourselves.
yes.
It's like, all right.
Timing.
It's like, Lord, how you want me to say this? All right, I got you. Like get ourselves together. But I love that because I think that sometimes the enemy just plants a seed, and how we respond determines which way it grows.
That's
Yeah.
real. That's real. That's so good. That's so
Yeah.
good.
I love
Any key, so before we wrap this, any key, like from what we said, how would you just summarize it in like a key takeaway, for people that are like, I hear y'all and I'm taking notes,
Oh,
I
oh, my motto is have a conversation.
love that.
That's have a conversation. Like, because you always do the highest thought thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I usually have a conversation, but I don't always. Sometimes it's an internal one.
Yeah.
And it's like I've created this narrative
My
about
own
what
narrative,
happened. And it's like,
yeah.
so I'm like an advocate for have a conversation, as tough as it is. Like at my job, we call it brave communication, because it takes you to be brave to have that. But like have a conversation. It dismantles
Yeah.
so many things in that moment that would fester on if you didn't.
That's
Because if you
real.
leave that space open, child, I'm telling you, the enemy will fill it with a narrative that is not true.
That's real.
Don't let your thoughts become the devil's playground. Like you, like
So
you
good.
said, you literally can just be thinking all these thoughts, and then you're starting to plant these negative seeds in you, and you're starting to look at this person the wrong way. And it's
Yeah.
just like, ask God to just show you.
Yeah.
Because God hears you all the time. So he knows your thoughts, he knows your heart, and he's willing to use you as
Yeah.
a vessel to help others. So
Yeah.
yeah, just go to God, ask him.
I love that. And I think even with just tying it all in, I would also just add, be focus on the vision,
Uh-huh.
right? So first of all, know what the vision is, right? And focus on the vision, because when I say focus on the vision, then it helps you recognize that this argument is not worth the vision.
Nope.
This fight is not worth the vision.
So good.
Right? So then you have the conversation.
Yeah.
Then you're intentional about like, enemy, you're not going to have my mind, right? Because there's a vision in front of us,
Right.
and we're going to focus on this vision, executing this vision.
Make
And
the main thing the main thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that.
Get to the vision.
I love it. In the room.
In the room.